Hello, Army of Light, Earth Division, the boots on the ground. It's Shawna L. Francis, and today is June 25th, 2024. Thanks, everybody, for being here for the weekly briefing, where we talk about the ascension, and we also talk about the negative reptilian regime and how all of that fits into this ascension process. But most importantly, we are talking about all of us, the Army of Light, the boots on the ground, working so hard really to try to keep it together. 2024 has been one heck of a year so far. We're halfway done, and it's just going to get more and more interesting, I think, as the months go on, team. So are you feeling buckled in? Are you feeling grounded? Or are you surfing on the top of the waves? Or are you getting pummeled underneath the waves? Or somewhere in between, given the day or the moment? I feel you. I've talked to so many people who are just right in the middle of something. Major transitions. Now is the time. The energies are right. The time is right for all of us to be really making some big moves and doing things that we've only dreamt about doing for many years, possibly. We're making the decisions now. We're making choices that support our highest good and that propel us forward on this path. Many of the stagnant energies, people are just, they can't stand it any longer. Melchizedek has talked a lot about the cosmic egg and breaking out of this container, this shell. We are growing so much with our light and our expansion of consciousness that our old paradigms, you can just think of it as being in an egg, and now it can't contain you any longer. So you're breaking out of this egg, you're breaking out of this shell. The light is coming in, you're expanding. So, you know, the breaking down to be reborn and to be rebuilding, that's really where we're at right now. So if you're going through this right now and in the middle of something really intense, I feel for you. My heart goes out to you. Deep breaths. We are in this together. You know, today's channeling. It's a long one. There's a lot here. So much so, too, that Melchizedek actually told me about this 3 days ago to see how I would react. And based on how I'd react, they were going to decide whether or not we'd be actually making a video with this information. But I guess I did okay. So here we are making a video about this. Before I get into the channeling, which is lengthy, guys, there's a lot here. And I'm going to be quick on the extra personal stuff so I can get right to the channeling. But I just want to say, wow, the live Q&A with Melchizedek on Wednesday of last week, amazing, beautiful. It flowed wonderfully. I was overjoyed with the questions, the heart that everybody brought, the respect, the answers that flowed through from Melchizedek were quite something else. So thanks if you attended, and I'm sorry there's a handful of you that had technical issues. I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. Let me know in the comments if we want to do this again in a couple of weeks. I think there's just going to continue to be a lot of questions, especially as we talk about today's topic and as we get more into the book of Revelation and the Bible and kind of the prophecies there and the ascension, the way that symbolism has been presented, you know, for the last 2,000 years, really getting us to this point, the next 1,000 years, the final stretch before the ascension's actually done, and re-knowing what all that symbolism means based on today and where we're at in this modern day. And I think I mentioned last week that Melchizedek, they told me they were the ones that provided that information for the book of Revelation to John, who took dictation and distributed that out, and then it ended up, of course, in the Bible. Okay, so, I mean, personally, in the last 2 weeks, I've just hit this new level with Melchizedek. There is just a constant ebb and flow of energy and a dialogue that's constantly happening. And I mean, I don't see how they could be more integrated into my field and into my consciousness. It is absolutely incredible. It brings tears to my eyes to think that here we are. I think I've been working with them for 5 years now, really channeling in this deep way for 2.5 years. So, you know, we've worked hard. And then, guys, to understand that I've had many lives with Melchizedek, and you probably have too. Our group, we have probably incarnated together many, many times on this pathway. And, you know, Melchizedek is talking about this being the troubling times. This came up at the live Q&A last week. And I would also recommend Dolores Cannon for anybody who doesn't know that name. She had a lot of people under hypnosis that talked about this being the troubling times. I think she called it something different, but same idea. And today's channeling is right in alignment with that. But, you know, we are really starting to understand as a collective here, and I'm talking about you guys, the boots on the ground, kind of we're having a more expanded view of where we fit with this ascension, what we're doing, how we're supporting, how we are of service, getting to understand the long game here, getting used to this idea, and just being, you know, okay with this, being at peace with it, being in acceptance of this. You know, I think a lot of us are just really tired of kind of fighting and resisting and wishing things were different. And, you know, we're tired of that. And, you know, I think we're just all moving into this new phase. It's a little clunky, if I may say so myself, but we are getting there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and head into this now with Melchizedek. This channeling was from yesterday. Also, really quick, June 25th. It's my mom's birthday. She would have been 74 today. She passed away almost exactly 6 years ago. It will be in about 3 weeks. It will have been, it's the anniversary of her passing, maybe almost four weeks. So, and really, my mom passed away, and I was very, very close with my mom, just as I was close with my dad. But, you know, it was just really around the time my mom passed is when my awakening journey really kicked into high gear. So it's kind of interesting kind of having my mom's death on one end and then my father's death kind of on the other end of it. But here we are. None of us are going to escape that. We're not immortal in that way yet. Not that we even want to be here on this planet, right? We're doing the best we can. We may not want to be here forever. Okay. All right. Anyway, so I did check in with my mom, and it was quite lovely. I'm telling you, the veil is practically non-existent. I can't believe the access to those frequencies and to these beings who want to talk and want to commune with us. I mean, look at how we have this world, this universe-wide audience watching us, watching these videos, trying to get a handle on where we're at with our consciousness with all these things. Melchizedek, as they said earlier, this is about disclosure. This is about the hard truths. And all right, I'm going to get into this. Melchizedek. Today feels like a great day to realign with each of the parts of you who have said yes to this mission, dear ones. We would very much like to take this opportunity to do a bit of synchronizing of fields. Anytime you find yourself watching this video, interacting with this field will deliver the same results. If you are able, please sink into a quiet space. Allow the mind to rest. Take a few deep breaths with us. This dear one here will be the major conduit for our energies to connect with each one of you, to just reacquaint ourselves and realign with the frequencies that keep you here and focused, dear ones. We do have some difficult information to share today. This dear one here, acclimating for days to this message, assimilating it into her knowing, allowing herself to be alarmed, to be a bit frightened, and to be contemplating the ramifications. We remind you that this particular collective, this field in which we just realigned, is the testing ground for important information that will eventually need to be brought to the light in a much, much wider scale. We start with you, dear ones, with absolute respect and love for this path that you have chosen, for the difficulty you have encountered. These are troubling times for humanity, and your task is to be okay when your ego may be screaming, "No, this cannot be. This is the absolute worst thing that can be happening." And we will say, friends, it's not the worst thing that can be happening, but it is significant. And your ability, your fortitude to be okay, to be calm, to carry peace and acceptance are paramount. When you know who and what you are in truth, and the incredible frequency that that knowing carries, you have a responsibility, dear ones, to wield that power responsibly with intention. Gone are the days of you sitting on the sidelines, pretending as though you're a voyeur looking in at someone else's reality, therefore releasing you from this idea that you are not powerful like this and you have no responsibility for that power. We would lovingly and gently like to tell you otherwise. Please sink in a bit further into our field and into our words as we continue. Shawna may be bringing these words forward, but we'll just remind you that these are not her words. These are the words of Melchizedek, the order of Melchizedek. We are an integrated sovereign consciousness, expanded consciousness, that helps oversee the ascension process here on planet Earth. Shawna is a conscious channel. She is expertly bringing forth our words and embodying our frequencies so that we may commune with you at deeper levels than what you may surmise. Each of you is important to this process. Each of you is a beacon of the light. Each of you a bastion of hope on a desolate landscape. Dramatic words, yes. We mean to be direct here to help maintain your focus and attention. It is our estimation that planet Earth will be experiencing a massive solar flare in the relatively near term. Your first question may be, when? With perhaps a bit of panic behind that word. We apologize that we are unable to say with a high degree of certainty when this will happen. But there is a great probability that Earth and the Sun are well poised for this energy exchange. Your beautiful northern lights, the aurora borealis, that was recently seen in places on the planet which have never seen that kind of light show before, was a foretelling of what is to come. It is also our estimation that this solar flare will be the most powerful, the most intense ever experienced to date. Take a moment, dear ones, and breathe deep with us. The solar flare will allow the sun a much needed balancing in its energy field, and it will provide planet Earth with an infusion of high frequency vibration. This will indeed help be a catalyst for balancing the darker, denser energies that have been ramping up due to the actions of the negative reptilian regime. The negative reptilians have no control over this infusion of light. That being said, they will do what they can to make this a catastrophic event for most of humanity, at least for a time. Let us expand a bit further on what we see in terms of impact of this solar event. Let us first speak about the light. Highly charged particles, electromagnetic frequencies, plasma, heat, radiation, cosmic alchemical processes. All the science behind such a phenomena cannot fathom the far-reaching impact to Earth's frequency for such an event. Please take some time to familiarize yourself with much of the scientific data regarding solar flares and the logistical issues this will bring to the planet's surface. This infusion of light from your beautiful sun, in partnership with Mother Earth on this ascension pathway, could be regarded as a shot of adrenaline to her system. Pockets of deep, dark energy will be vaporized within moments. Long-lasting, stable charged particles, which carry their own energetic force, will be permanently infused into the auric field of your planet, but for all intents and purposes, we will say it will be in your atmosphere. While we expect every human on the planet will experience the effects of this solar flare, some areas will experience more than others. Some people will experience more than others. From a vibrational standpoint, personally, you may experience the following: momentary bouts of confusion, extra bursts of energy, absent-mindedness, uncomfortable feelings in the body as the nerve endings acclimate to the frequencies, headaches, shortness of breath, pronounced mood swings, changes in appetite, giddiness, or happiness. We do not expect these symptoms to be long-lasting, dear ones, and most people will find it easy to work through the symptoms and be able to integrate the higher frequencies. While the personal effects may not be as severe, the physical impacts to your surroundings will be more intense and more long-lasting. Okay. I need a drink. We're going to take a break. I find it interesting that they're saying, we want you to be okay with this. It's not like they want us bouncing off the walls in joy and celebrating this time, but can we just get to a place where we're going to be okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about this later. And they continue here, Melchizedek. Imagine a complete shutdown of all things electronic. Please do your independent research here, dear ones. We estimate that recovery from such an event to the world's infrastructure could take 2 weeks to 2 years, depending on the service, the structure, or the program. Our advice for you at this time is similar to what has already been spoken in terms of an imminent financial collapse. Dear ones, please stock up on food, water, gas, and cash, if you are able. Prepare an emergency plan for your loved ones. Be mindful of not allowing fear to dictate your experience now and in the times ahead. Come from a place of knowing. Come from a place of prudence. Stay informed of the solar activity. Be not the person who screams, "The sky is falling." Preparing for this potentiality is just that, preparation. You may wish to share what you are doing, but then allow others to make their own choices. Please be kind with others' reactions. And that's when it got quiet, and they said that they would be open to fielding my questions, and I had a lot of questions. And I had been asking a lot of questions over the few days when they kind of warned me about this. I said, just a couple weeks ago we had talked about this imminent financial collapse and stocking up on food and water and cash and gas. And I said, now we have this separate thing, this big solar flare. I said, I can't imagine that if these two things happen near each other, like the calamity here, if either one comes first and the other one follows. And I was also asking them, could it be that the solar flare could bring on a financial collapse? Because, in essence, at the size that they're talking about with this solar flare being the biggest ever seen to date, we're talking about a worldwide standstill and everything being so digital, electronic, Anyway, it seems likely, or it seems probable to me, if the solar flare happens before the financial collapse, that the solar flare could actually help bring upon us this financial collapse. Sorry, guys, I'm tired. I said, can you speak about this? And they had said to me before, these things have nothing to do with each other. That was one of my first questions, like, wow, you just told us to stock up. Now you're telling us to stock up again, double whammy here. And here's what Melchizedek had to say. Yes, as mentioned, dear one, the financial collapse is not at all related to the potential solar flare here, but we would agree with you that if these two things should happen within a relatively short time frame, the impact to this planet would be massive. We are not able to say at this time which may come first or how these two events might compound the challenges here, but we do agree with you that it would be cataclysmic to experience both of these things either at the same time or close in succession. And they continue here. Knowing the big picture, dear ones, understanding what's happening here in terms of infusing this planet with light and bringing down infrastructure that was built upon fear, and the long-range goals for these things will help keep you grounded and feeling okay with what's happening. It may be prudent to prepare for the worst case scenario. I've been collecting food based on the channeling about the financial collapse, and I've bought powdered eggs and powdered milk and I don't know, maybe 20 cans of food and pasta and peanut butter and rice and, stuff. And it fits kind of in a tub, like a tote, a rubber tote that I have at home. And they told me, Shawna, please get more food. You're going to need more food. And I haven't even started really stockpiling water yet. I did grab some cash out of the bank and I have it stashed in a drawer. And they said, go ahead and get the gas can. I've been looking online to go down the rabbit hole online on all the survivalist stuff that's out there. I don't really want to get into all that, but you do your research. But they said, Shawna, go ahead and get the gas. And I might just, get a gas can for each of my kids and fill it up for them too and deliver it to their doorstep. I mean, I'm going to talk to them about this and we'll see how they react. But certainly, as Melchizedek said, even with my children, allowing them their own choices and being really gentle with what they have to say. I think they'll be respectful, but that's going to be a challenge for all of us. I have a lot more questions for them, and we're going to get to some basic timing too that they gave us. Okay, I'm going to continue here. I said, thank you, Melchizedek. I said, from the very little research that I've done in the last few days, we're coming into a time of peak solar activity for the sun. There's an 11-year cycle, guys, and we are reaching that peak of the solar activity in this 11-year cycle, July of 2025, so within the next 12 months. And I said, I had also seen an article that said some scientists are thinking that the peak is happening a little bit earlier than that. I said, would it be probable that this massive solar flare that you're talking about could hit our planet within 1 to 18 months? So that's basically now through the end of next year, 2025. And they said, yes, dear one, we do think that time range is accurate. Okay. And if I had to guess, that would also be probably, a relatively probable time frame for this financial collapse as well. And I continued with my questioning here. I said also our instrumentation seems to be able to provide us with a 3-day lead time for a solar flare, a 3-day window. So I've read that somewhere that with our scientific instrumentation, we'd get a few days advance notice that a solar flare was going to hit. I asked Melchizedek, I said, would you be able to give us more advance than that? If you would be able to see it coming, could you come and tell us that, hey, we actually think this is going to be happening sooner? And they said, dear one, we will certainly try. If we are able, then yes, we shall. So hopefully we get much more than just a 3-day warning from Melchizedek as they keep tabs on what's happening with the sun. Okay. I said, thank you, Melchizedek. I said, how might the negative reptilian regime actually try to exploit this for their gain? What can you foresee as actions that they would take? They said here, the negative reptilian regime will likely use mass media to amplify the fear as much as possible. Always they want fear, that energy, dear ones. You could imagine that as soon as the news is available for watching, that people will very much be wanting to know what's going on. So the news and the mass media will be a critical tool for the negative reptilian regime to help control the narrative, control the masses, and instill fear. Always they want the fear energy, guys. That's really their biggest end game. All right. Then they continue here. That being said, there are good people that will be working extremely hard to help with the recovery efforts, working quickly, working swiftly, doing what they can to restore services, for example. So there's only so much that the negative reptilians can do to prolong the suffering. They may also use this time to create more heroes for humanity. But, alas, they will be puppets owned by the negative reptilian regime at their core. You really just can't trust anything. We're at this age, we're at this time with AI, with all of our news agencies being controlled by just a handful of few, the level of manipulation and control that's happening at the highest of levels. All right, they're going to create they may take this opportunity to create heroes for us, but really they're just going to be minions of the negative reptilian regime at the end of the day. I said, thank you, team. I said, obviously this is going to be just extremely difficult because we are so reliant on technology. I said, is there anything we can do to help minimize the fear that will be happening and the suffering in terms of our collective during this event or the aftermath of this event? And they answered here. Always, first and foremost, dear ones, it is about your field and your frequency, you as beacons, you as conductors of field. This is how you are of service in the most important way. How are you carrying yourself? Are you in universal acceptance? Are you trying to maintain a feeling of peace? Are you holding your torch high for those who may be suffering? Is your heart open? And are you thinking of the bigger picture? If there are ways for you to help your fellow brothers and sisters through this time, wonderful. Please do that. If you're able, be an example for others, be that calming force in the middle of the chaos. Let it be known, in resonance, who and what you are in truth, and reflect that back to all who come into your field. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. Let it be known in resonance who and what you are in truth, and reflect that back to all who come into your field. Powerful. I said, thank you, Melchizedek. I said, do we have any plans for communication during this time with the constituents? That's with me and you guys, with Melchizedek and all of us. Or how might we all stay connected if that's even a need? Or maybe talk more about what you are saying, and that indeed we will recover from this. We do recover, you said, it just takes some time. Can you speak more about this? Certainly, dear one, they said. Humanity will recover from the solar flare, and the world will be forever changed by it in subtle and not so subtle ways. The balancing of the energy for the sun and the extra infusion of light onto earth will be significant, dear ones, for the ascension. Excuse me. It will be hard to regard this event as positive, but in the much grander, larger scheme of things, it will be a step in the right direction toward raising the frequency of all in existence here on planet Earth and for planet Earth herself. In terms of our communications, we are always with you in field, dear ones. You may speak to us, you may pray to us, you may reach out to us, and we will do our best to support you. And as soon as this one here is able to resume her videos or communication in some other way, we shall do so. Okay. And I said, I think that's it for me for now. I said, thank you so much for answering these questions. There's a lot to unpack here. I said, is there anything else that you want to say to the constituents? And they said here, the world will be changing rapidly, dear ones, over the course of the next 1,000 years. That gets us to our end goal. Some of you have been a part of this journey for many lifetimes, and many of you will continue on supporting this mission for more lifetimes to come. Please sink into this knowing. Do the best you can to remain calm, yet prudent through this time. We love you. We commend you. All right, and I said, thank you, team. Okay. Again, like so many things that we're talking about, this may not be a surprise to you. I know there have been many channelers talking about the big solar flare, the big solar event. And Melchizedek said to me earlier that there have been other prophecies about this. I mean, it's going to be the way I see it. It's going to be the world standing still. The world's going to stand still for a moment, and it boggles the mind to think about this. And it's kind of interesting to go back and look at history. 1859, there was a huge solar flare, but this will be much larger. But all their all the communications and the, oh gosh, the telegraph, you know, the telegraphs, anything that was using any kind of electric pulse or radio frequency was damaged, and there were problems. But now, you know, this world is just so much different 150 years later. I mean, we are so reliant on technology, but you know, it's the power grid, it's the internet, it's the stock market, it's buying groceries, it's paying for gas, it's our cars, it's airplanes, it's trains, it's everything. I mean, it's everything. So, I mean, let alone like the power grid, right? There's so many other things that, I mean, if you really stop and think about what this could mean, it's just like, oh my gosh, you know, and really, are we going to be able to be recovered in 2 years? So yeah, I mean, Melchizedek said, Shawna, get more food. Prepare for the worst case scenario, they just said here in this channeling. Be prudent. You know, you can talk to others what you're doing and create a preparedness plan with your loved ones, but really be okay with other people's decisions, you know. We will be okay. This is a good thing for the planet and for the sun and for where we're all going. We will make it through this. We've probably been through worse. We've been through a lot as these singularities here of an oversoul. Our oversouls have seen so much. We've been in so many places and done so many things. Yeah, so troubling times, guys. That's where we're headed into next. And I will say that the energy work that Melchizedek has been doing with me, it feels like a warrior spirit. It feels like a warrior spirit, which is interesting because it seems to me in the past that a lot of the channelings or the feel of the energy has been much more feminine, much more soft, vulnerable, open heart, that kind of thing. But there seems to be coming a balance, and I want to say between light and dark. And remember, pure darkness is a part of existence, as is pure light. They've introduced me to this concept of white light and black light recently. And again, I think this is trying to help prepare me to be more balanced in my beingness between light and dark, because I think there's just we're going to be required, me especially as the one bringing forth this information, a level of resiliency, a level of focus, kind of like a tenacity and a focus and a steadfastness that I haven't had to have before. I mean, we're heading into new territory with these messages. I mean, every week there's something new here that's like massive. So I'm doing the best I can. The team has been incredible. So much love, so much support, so much nurturing. So I'm really doing okay. I'm doing great, in fact. But I'm taking it a moment at a time. I'm not getting too wrapped up in the what ifs. I am taking their advice to heart. I'm going to be preparing a little bit more here. And I'm going to prepare here in Mexico too, in case I'm here when something goes down, or if I'm up in the States, I want to be prepared in both areas. You know, I also just get this sense that we're in a really happy time right now, relatively speaking. Do your fun stuff, make your big decisions, make your big changes, kind of get to where you want to be. Things on your bucket list. You know, I feel like if the financial institutions are going to crumble and we've got this big solar flare coming, it's like, live life to the fullest. Like, you know, get things done that you want to get done. Have some fun. Man, that just sounds so strange, but that's kind of how I'm feeling in this moment right now. Don't forget to pray for help. Ask for help here to get through this. We want to be the calm in the chaos. Being okay with this. Being prudent. Preparing. Making preparations. And we're in it together, team. All right. That's all for today. I love you. I love you so much. Thanks for being here. I will see you next week.